There comes a moment in every life when the mirror stops lying, when the noise of the world fades, and you're left with nothing but the weight of your own reflection, unfiltered, unforgiving, raw. In that silence, a voice inside begins to rise. A whisper, maybe, a scream, maybe, but it says the same thing. You were meant for more. Not more money, not more attention, more meaning, more purpose, more impact, more the person you were supposed to be before the world told you who to become. And in that moment, you realize something dangerous. Success is not hiding from you. It's waiting for you, watching, testing, measuring your readiness, because success is not a destination. It is a mirror. It reflects who you are, not what you want. You don't chase it. You evolve into someone it can't resist. Mindset. The internal world governs the outer world. Every mountain ever climbed, every empire ever built, every miracle of invention and revolution began not with resources, not with connections, but with a mind tuned to victory. Edison lit up the world not with electricity, but with relentless vision. Before he held a bulb, he held a belief. Before he wired circuits, he wired his brain. The mind is the battlefield, and every day you walk into it, you either train your thoughts like a warrior, or you let them train you into weakness. You either command your mind, or you become its servant. There is no neutrality. The person who attracts success doesn't hope, doesn't wish, and doesn't plead. They decide. They decide that the mind is a tool, not a tyrant. They seize control of the inner world until the outer world conforms. They discipline thought like a soldier sharpens a sword, not casually, but obsessively, because they know the world bends not to effort alone, but to alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in one direction, the universe responds. That's not philosophy, that's physics. Belief, the foundation of becoming there, is a hidden law that governs every outcome you seek. It's not taught in school. It's not found in textbooks, but it shapes every success story you've ever admired. You do not get what you want. You get what you believe. Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. That isn't just clever. It's prophecy. The mind filters opportunity through the lens of belief. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage every breakthrough. If you believe you are average, you will shrink before greatness. And if you believe you are destined, truly believe it, the world will conspire to prove you right. Success is allergic to doubt. It smells hesitation and runs, but when it senses conviction, when it sees a soul unwilling to break, it obeys. It gravitates to the unshakable. It surrounds the one who already sees the victory before the world recognizes it. Belief isn't a passive state. It's a choice, a muscle. You build it by refusing to fold when the evidence is thin. You build it by speaking life when the world offers silence. You build it every time you walk into the fire without a guarantee, only a vision, clarity, vision. That cuts through. Calls a man without a vision is a ship without a sail, tossed, turned, lost. The wind owns him. The current decides his fate. But a man with vision, he makes the storm irrelevant. Clarity is power, and most wander aimlessly, not because they lack potential, but because they lack direction. They're busy, but not focused. They're moving, but not progressing. Their time is filled, but their soul is starving. The person who attracts success doesn't dabble. They dominate. They pick a direction, and they march. Their clarity makes decisions easy. Their vision makes sacrifices feel like investments. They are immune to distraction because they have already seen the finish line in their mind, and nothing outside can compete with what they carry inside. Walt Disney walked acres of swampland and saw an empire of magic, while others saw mud. He saw memories. That's the power of vision. It bends time. It alters perception. It transforms the invisible into the inevitable. So ask yourself not what do I want, but what am I building? What am I becoming so clear about that I can walk through fire and not flinch? Because until you find that you're still chasing purpose, the fire that doesn't burn out. Purpose is the fuel that outlasts motivation. It is the energy source for the days when no one believes, no one claps, and no one cares. It is the only voice that says, keep going, when everything else screams, give up. Andrew Carnegie didn't rise from a poor immigrant boy to the richest man in America by chasing comfort. He was possessed by purpose. He knew that money was in the end, it was the tool. He saw industry as a way to lift humanity, and that vision pulled him through every setback, every betrayal, and every sleepless night. The person who attracts success lives with an inner urgency not to impress, but to express. They understand they are not here to merely exist. They are here to expand, to serve, to light a torch in the dark and leave the world better than they found it. Purpose gives pain a job. It gives suffering a meaning. It takes failure and recycles it into fire. With purpose, obstacles are not roadblocks. They are tests. And every test pass attracts more power, more influence, and more momentum. The question isn't what should I do? It's why must I do it? Until your why is louder than your excuses, you'll always chase. But once your why becomes a fire, success becomes the moth. Discipline, the bridge between desire and destiny. Desire is easy. Everyone wants something. But discipline, that's the dividing line. That's the silent separator between dreamers and doers. Success doesn't fall from the sky. It doesn't respond to talent alone. It respects consistency. It bows to those who show up long after the mood has left. Discipline is the decision to keep promises to yourself, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Muhammad Ali didn't become a champion in the ring. He became a champion in the shadows, in the 5 a.m. road runs, in the lonely gym sessions, in the hours no one filmed. He once said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." That's discipline, and that's the person success can't resist. Not the loud one, not the lucky one, the one who keeps showing up, keeps building, keeps refining, quiet, ruthless, focused. Because discipline doesn't just move you forward, it transforms you. It chisels you into the version of yourself that success is required to answer. Action, the pulse of progress. You can meditate, you can visualize, you can write goals until the ink runs dry. But without action, nothing changes. The bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be is built with movement, not motion, not busyness, strategic, intentional, relentless action. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb with theory. He did it with over 10,000 experiments, each one a brick in the road to illumination. He didn't fail 10,000 times. He moved 10,000 times closer to truth. That's action. The person success can't resist isn't waiting for permission. They aren't waiting for perfect timing, ideal conditions, or cosmic signs. They create momentum in the midst of chaos. They act when they're tired. They act when they're afraid. They act because they're driven. And here's the law no one wants to admit. Clarity doesn't always precede action. Sometimes action creates clarity. You don't find the path. You build it. You carve it. You bleed on it. And eventually, the world steps aside for the one who kept walking when everyone else sat down. If you want to become the person success can't resist, do more than plan, execute. Show the universe you're serious, not with words, but with movement, not with wishes, but with proof. Gratitude, the attitude that multiplies everything. It may sound soft, but it's one of the most potent forces you will ever wield. Gratitude is not weakness. It is strength disguised in humility. It is the signal to the universe that you are already abundant, already in flow, already in command of your state. And here's the paradox. The more grateful you are for what you have, the more you attract what you desire. Carnegie knew this. Hill wrote of this. Every great thinker, from the Stoics to the sages, understood that you do not rise by grasping. You rise by anchoring. Gratitude roots you. It clears the fog. It takes your eyes off what's missing. It focuses them on what's working. You cannot build a life of abundance from a mindset of lack. You must learn to thank your challenges, bless your setbacks, and honor the pressure, because all of it is shaping you into someone the world must reward. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain. It's about transcending it, seeing the lesson, seeing the growth, seeing the raw material of greatness buried inside the rubble. The person success can't resist walks with gratitude in their eyes, even while walking through fire, because they know this isn't punishment. This is preparation, adaptability, the power to pivot without panic. The river doesn't fight the rock. It flows around it, and in time, it shapes it. Success belongs to the flexible, to those who can bend without breaking, to those who can face change not as a threat, but as a gift. Because life doesn't hand you what you expect, it hands you what you're ready to adapt to. Abraham Lincoln failed at business, lost elections, battled depression, and still became the most transformational president in U.S. history. Why? He adapted. He didn't let loss define him. He let it refine him. He didn't collapse when the ground shifted. He adjusted his footing. The person who attracts success isn't rigid. They're not married to one path. They're married to the mission. If the plan fails, they don't crumble, they pivot. They innovate. They evolve. They become stronger because of the obstacle, not in spite of it. Adaptability is a form of intelligence. The world rarely teaches. It requires humility. It requires vision. It requires the strength to release control while never releasing purpose. In a world that never stops changing, adaptability isn't optional. It's the survival code of the elite. Resilience, the spirit that refuses to break. You will fall. You will doubt. You will hurt. That's not a question. That's a guarantee. But success doesn't come to the perfect. It comes to the persistent. Resilience is not born. It is built. It's hammered into your soul through rejection, forged in the flames of failure. It's strengthened every time you get up when logic says to stay down. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. He went bankrupt. He was told Mickey Mouse was too scary for children, but he kept going because he wasn't chasing success. He was becoming something so magnetic, so undeniable. That success eventually had no choice. That's what resilience is. It's not just toughness. It's transformation. It's looking defeat in the eye and saying, "You don't own me. I'm still building." Asterisk, the person's success can't resist has scars, but they've turned those scars into symbols of strength. Every wound became a window. Every pain became a passageway. They stopped asking, "Why me?" and started declaring, "Watch me." Learning, the fuel of infinite growth. A closed mind is a closed future. The person who attracts success is obsessed with growth. They don't seek comfort. They seek correction. They don't just want to be right. They want to get better. The moment you think you know enough, you've already begun to decline. True learners live in a state of hunger. They study not just books, but behavior, not just content, but context. They study failure, success, history, humanity, because they understand every piece of knowledge is a seed, and in the right soil, it can become a forest. Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with minds sharper than his own. He built an empire not by knowing everything, but by learning faster than everyone. The person success can't resist doesn't fear what they don't know. They pursue it because they know the more I grow, the more I attract, and the more I attract, the more I can become. Identity, becoming the version of you that success is meant for. Change begins with identity, not action, not strategy, identity. You will never outperform the story you tell yourself about who you are. If you see yourself as average, your results will shrink to fit that image. If you believe you're unlucky, unseen, unworthy, life will hand you proof, not because it's true, but because you told it to. But the person success can't resist, they don't wait for evidence to believe. They decide who they are, and the world conforms to that decision. They look in the mirror and declare with terrifying certainty, "This is who I am now, not someday." Now that they stop saying "I want to be successful" and start living like someone who already is, they align their habits, their speech, their posture, their environment, everything with the identity of the person they are becoming. Because here is the secret. Success doesn't respond to potential. It responds to identity in motion. It's not what you're capable of, it's what you embody. You don't attract what you admire. You attract what you are. So if you want to stop chasing, stop negotiating with your lower self, bury the version of you that settles, starve the identity that waits, kill the character that hesitates, and build a new archetype, one so solid, so certain, so rooted in purpose. That success has no option but to submit. Legacy, planting trees whose shade you may never sit under. The ultimate success is not wealth. It's not recognition. It's not applause. It's impact. It's legacy. The person's success can't resist isn't just building for today. They are building for eternity. They understand that true power is leaving fingerprints on souls, not just on balance sheets. They're not playing a game of personal gain. They are playing the infinite game of influence. Lincoln didn't just free a nation. He altered the course of human dignity. Ford didn't just mass-produce cars. He made freedom mobile. You were not born to simply chase income. You were born to chase immortality of impact. And that means everything you do must flow from a deeper why. Your discipline becomes devotion. Your struggle becomes sacrifice. Your success becomes service. Because when your vision reaches beyond your own life, it elevates everything. It sharpens your actions. It expands your courage. It makes your daily grind sacred. It stops being about you. And that's when the real power shows up. Success is attracted to those who carry the future on their backs, who aren't afraid to plant the seeds of a forest they may never walk through. Because legacy doesn't chase followers, it creates leaders. And when you move like that, when you live like that, you don't chase success. Success bows to you. Final bill. The soul's reckoning, so here we are. You've waited. You've dreamed. You've wrestled with doubt. You've listened to voices that told you to settle, to shrink, to wait your turn. And now, it's time to burn all of that down. Because the future does not belong to the hesitant. It belongs to the decisive. Asterisk, the world doesn't need another person chasing success. It needs a soul on fire. It needs you, the real you, the one buried under years of noise, fear, guilt, hesitation. And that version of you is not found in someone's approval. It's not unlocked by luck. It's not revealed in convenience. It is forged in fire. That version of you wakes up before the sun with a vision carved into their spine. That version of you doesn't ask what if. They declare, watch this. That version of you walks into rooms and alters the temperature. Not because they're loud, but because their presence is earned. You want success? Stop chasing. Start becoming. Stand in your power. Build the mind. Sharpen the vision. Fortify the belief. Move with ruthless discipline. Fall in love with the process. Let gratitude steady your heart. Let purpose set your pace. Let resilience break your limits. Let learning expand your world. Let legacy lift your eyes. And every day, every single day becomes so precise, so powerful, and so relentlessly authentic that success doesn't just visit you, it kneels before you. Because in the end, success doesn't belong to the seeker, it belongs to the become. You don't chase it. You don't beg for it. You build the person it cannot resist. And thought is who you are now.